Welcome back to the arcade. Today we're going to do part 2 of the Neoloch Inquisitor build video. We started part 1, which we built the core unit, which isn't quite finished yet. So we're still working on part 1, but we had to start part 2 because we're down to the point building the core where we need a blade to test the core PC board that we put together. We still have to put the ZIF socket on it. So, but you know, if you see in this video, you've already seen the build video for the core, and that's finished. But at this time right now, it's not finished, because like I say, we have to build one of the blades. Now I have 3 of the blades which plugs into this edge connector on the core unit. And let's see, I think I'm going to go with the SRAM blade first, and we'll just put the other 2 blades aside. That'll be part 3 and part 4. So I'm going to do the same thing with this that I did with the core build. I'm going to go ahead and open up the package, and I'm going to check all the parts, make sure we have all the parts, and I'm going to identify the parts and lay them out and get them ready to install. So I'm going to do that, and I'll be right back. Okay, well, I got all my parts laid out here. Nowhere near as many parts on the blade as it was the core unit, so this should go a little bit quicker. Now this one did come with a set of instructions, 1 sheet of paper, and it's really small. You need a magnifying glass just to read it, but the pictures are fairly large, so if you had to, you could follow along with this. But what I did was I went ahead and printed out the PDF that's on the website, on the Neoloch's website, and it's basically the same instructions, but much easier to read, and more pages, but 6 pages altogether. But I'm going to go with that. That way I won't have to use my magnifying glasses to see where everything goes. Okay. So let's go ahead and start the assembly. I already got the Wella soldering iron fired up, and I got my solder here. So let's get started. It says most of the board will progress from the lowest profile parts to the highest. Okay, I agree with that. That's the way I usually build any kit. Step 1, solder the 390 ohm orange, white, brown resistor into R10. Okay, so I have that one right here, 390 ohm. It says it is orange, white, brown. So I'm going to check it out here. Orange, white, brown. These little 1/8 of a watt resistors are tiny, but anyway, what we got to work with here. Okay, goes into R10, so let's find out where R10 is. And R10 right there. Okay, got R10 in. Now this is a red PC board. Red and purple, what a combination. Okay. All right, it's one down. Okay, step 2, solder the 1K ohm brown, black, red resistor into R11. Okay, brown, black, red, 1K ohm. Oops, I done mixed some of them up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, it was 7 of those. Got to be a little more careful. All right, it's one of the 7. 1K ohm, brown, black, red, brown, black, red. Okay. And that goes in R11. R11 is right above R10. It's the one we just put in, R10. R11 is right up here. Okay, got that one done. Step 3, solder the remaining 1K ohm brown, black, red resistors into R4, R5, R6, R7, R8, and R12 for the SRAM 2 PC board not shown. Okay, there are 2 revisions. There's the older board is the SRAM 1 and this is the SRAM 2, so slight little difference in the newer board here, which this one is. Alright, so the remaining sort of 6 1K ohm resistors here. And these are also brown, black, red, so take a peek here. Yeah, brown, black, red. And they go in R4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 12. Here's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 12. So we'll just populate all of these right here. So I think what I'm going to do is, since these are all the same, I'm going to go ahead and put them all in. And solder them all in one shot. I'm getting my OCD on here. Doesn't matter which way you put a resistor in, but when they're all lined up together like this, I like to put them all in the same direction so that all the colors line up. Yeah, I know. Hey, everybody's got to have a little quirk. You know, why not? It makes for a good looking build, I think. Okay, one more. All right. All right, get in there, you little booger. Okay, they're all in. Now we gotta do is solder them. And let's see. Just gonna put something on there to weigh it down so it don't wiggle on me. The easiest thing to do is they're so close together, I'll start down here and I'll solder each one and clip the leads off and work my way up the PC board. In fact, let me get these two over here so I can get these out of my way. So I can come in with the solder from this side. Okay, that clears the path for me. Okay. finishes all those. Now let's see what's next. Moving right along. Step 4, solder the 10K ohm brown, black, orange resistor into R1, R2, R3, and R9. Okay. And that is up underneath U2 around C1. So let's find it on here. There's U2. There's C1, and there is R1, R2, R3, and R9. So that's where they go. And that was 10K, which is a brown, black, orange. 4 of them. Brown, black, orange. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing with these. I'm going to put all 4 in and solder them at the same time. Okay, let me get these in the right direction. Again, just for aesthetics. It's not only we're creating a functional tool, why can't electronics be a piece of art too? Yeah, I know that sounds kind of silly, but if you kind of think about it, it is. I don't like the spacing of that. Let's try this again. Okay, that's better. If you're going to put 3 in a line, you want them to at least kind of line up together. You don't want one over here and one over there. Yeah, I guess my OCD is showing again, huh? Okay, and R3 goes over here, all by its little lonesome. Okay, that looks good. And I think I'm going to do the same thing. Just solder them up the line and clip them as I go to get the legs out of my way to solder the other ones. Because there's such tight spacing here. Alright, let's see. Solder all three on this side. Okay, they're done. Now let's see what's next here. Step 5, solder the 40-pin socket into U1 and the 18-pin socket in U2. Okay. Let's get our sockets here. Oh, that was hiding under the bottom here. Well, let's see which one I want to put on first. Let's go with the U2. Don't like to focus on this red, I don't think. Alright. Let me solder each corner. Now let's take a look and see if it's flat. Looks good. So let's go ahead and finish the job. These little PC boards don't have enough weight to hold them down. Guess I could get one of them little PC board vices. Probably be handy for doing this kind of work. Could put it in a little vise and it would hold it. Well, that's okay, we'll make out. Take a quick look at that. They look nice. All right, now we get to put the 40-pin socket on. These got a couple pins bent. Straighten them up. That'll be close enough to get them in the holes. Get the notch lined up on them right. Okay, now this one's in the middle of the board, so it ought to hold itself down. Still want to solder both ends down and then check it out to make sure it's on the board nice and flat, and it is. So now it's just a soldering thing. I know I said it in my last video, but I really am digging this pencil tip on this soldering iron here. Okay. .40-pin socket installed. Let's see what's next. Step number 6, solder the 0.1 microfarad capacitor into C1, C2, and C4. Solder the 1 microfarad capacitor in C5. The longer lead is the positive side and goes in the hole with the square pad. Solder the 2.2 microfarad capacitor into C3. The longer lead is positive side and goes into the hole with the square pad. Okay, first let's do the 0.1 microfarad capacitors. There's 3 of those. And these are just regular ceramic capacitors. Again, on these cardboard things, but I don't need those long leads, so I'm just going to clip them off. Okay, and since these are just ceramic disc capacitors, there's no polarity to them, so they go in C1, 2, and 4. So that's C1, C2, and C4. All right. It's funny because they got those marked positive too, but they're not positive, so it doesn't matter which way they go. Oh boy. And I wonder why they waited to put them on after the socket, because they're way down lower than the socket. So when I turn them over, they're going to want to fall out. Well, that's the way it goes. So I'm going to do this the way I used to do, well, the way I do cap kits. I'll bend one of the leads over and I'll be able to hold it down. Solder to one leg and then bend the other leg back up. Should have put these in first, but I was going by the instructions, so. Whoever writes the instructions, maybe they need to change those. Make it easier to put these in before you put the sockets in. Okay. C1 is in, now let's do C2. C2 is right there. Okay, that one's in. One more. And it goes in C4. And C4 is right there. Okay, those capacitors are done. All right. Now solder capacitor into C5, which is to 1 microfarad. And that's an electrolytic capacitor. Right here. And goes into C5. Find out where C5 is. C5 is right there. And the positive lead goes in the square hole. The long lead is to positive and goes in the square hole. Okay. That is correct. That's going to pretty well hold itself in. Okay, that one's in. Now we got to put the 2.2 microfarad at 50 volts in C3. C3 is right there. Again, the one with the square hole is the positive. It's also got a little positive mark there. So we'll put that lead in the square hole. Okay, that one's done. Let's see what's left. All right, step 7. To solder the read relay into K1, you'll need to take care as the relay has a built-in suppression diode, so the relay is polarized. There is a small notch on the side of the relay that indicates pin 1. Pin 1 of the relay goes into the hole that is closest to the silkscreen notch on the PC board. Okay, so here it is right here, and there's a little notch on the end right there. So, all right, let's get the little relay. And I would assume it kind of looks like it's molded just like an IC, and it's got a little notch right there and a little round circle. So I would say that that end right there is number 1. So I would say that that goes right there where that little notch is. Yeah. Okay. And again, that is below the top of the 2 capacitors I just installed, so it would have been better to put that in before the capacitors. That way I could have flipped it over and it would have held itself in. Ah, boy. Okay. Let me go ahead and take this pad that came with it, and I'm just going to set it up on that for right now, and I'm going to solder one of them and then line it up. If I have to, heat it up. And straighten it out. Okay, let's take a look at it. Actually, it looks good. No complaints there. Okay, one relay installed. All right, let's see what's next. Step 8, solder the LED into LED 1. The short lead is the cathode, pin 1, and goes in the hole with the square pad. Okay, so LED 1 has only got one LED on it. And it's a green LED, and it has a short and a long leg, and it goes into LED 1. Now where is LED 1? LED 1 right there. It's the power indicator, I guess. It lets you know that you got power to the blade. Alright, long leg goes in the square hole. Alright, once again, it's a little bit shorter than the relay. So I'm just going to set it down on that. And I'll solder one side. Take a look at it. Looks good to me. Okay, that's done. All right. Step 9. Solder in the first transistor into Q6. Note, if a transistor is overheated, it can and probably will be damaged. The best way to avoid this problem is to solder one lead and then give the transistor several seconds to cool before soldering the next lead. Okay, that makes sense. So Q6. Okay, here are the transistors, 7 of them, and they're all the same, 2N4401. So yeah, I don't need these long leads, so once again I'm just going to clip them off. And I don't know why they say start with Q6, but we'll start with Q6. I guess it's because it's over here all by its lonesome. The other ones line up over here on this side. So yeah, let's go ahead and put that in now. The orientation of the transistor, let's see if I can zoom in on this here a little bit. As you can see, the transistor has a flat side. Here's the flat side, and this side here is rounded. Okay, well, if you look on the board, here's the 3 holes in line where they go, and on one side you got a line that's got like a little happy face, like a half round. That half round indicates that that's the round side of the transistor, so you can locate them and put them in by the round side where that round graphic is on the board. So that way you don't get them in wrong. And they drop right in. So again, I'm going to use this piece of foam. I'm just going to wiggle it around till they're standing straight up. That way I know they're in straight. But we're going to start by just soldering one lead, and we'll check it out. Kind of give it time to cool anyway. Alright, it's a little crooked. So I'm just going to put a little heat on it, straighten it up. Alright, that's good. Now, of course, I know electronic components are sensitive to heat, and you can destroy new components with too much heat. I guess they're just warning people because they know there's probably a lot of people going to build this kit that maybe hasn't done a whole lot of work on electronic components before. So, you know, it's not that super critical, but yeah, if you're going to be using a soldering iron with a tip the size of my finger and try to solder this, and believe me, I've seen some boards where it looked like somebody took an old-fashioned soldering iron and that was 4 or 5 times the size of what they were trying to solder and solder with it, and it makes a mess. But yeah, it's just normal soldering, so you just got to be cautious, and you don't want to put too much heat on a component, because you damage the components, you damage the trace, you damage the board. Yeah, it's just not good. So okay, all these are the same, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut them all off and save a little bit of time. Okay. Now I'm pretty sure the next step is going to be putting the other transistors in. And yeah, it looks like it. Step 10. Solder in the remaining transistors into Q1 through Q5 and Q7 into the SRAM 2 PC board, not shown. Okay. So evidently the original SRAM 1 PC board only has 5 transistors on this side, and this one here, 1, 2, 3, 4. No, this one here has 5 on this side. Oh, but it's got Q7, which is right there. That's the extra one right there. That's not on the original board. Okay, I see. All right, so they must have did a little redesigning of this. So maybe they added more test features, or maybe the ability to test a few more SRAMs than originally. I don't know. All right, well, all these are the same. They go in the same direction. You can see it looks like the little smiley face. See these little arcs underneath each one? Well, that just means that that's the way you put it in, just like that. So I think, let's see, do I want to put them all in and solder them at the same time? Why not? You put them all in and they might stabilize themselves. And I might be able to solder one leg of each one and then straighten them up. Alright, I'm just going to do those, and I don't know. Let me put this one in too. What the heck? And we'll see how it goes. Tell you what, I'm going to put that foam block down. Yeah, they don't sit very good at all. Let's try it. They look like they might be fairly straight. I'll solder the end ones. And I'm just gonna leave that last one out. Let's see what they look like. Ooh, look like somebody was rocking the boat. Then every which way. All right. And the one on the end looks good. One looks good. This one is, the boat is rocking on this one pretty good. And that one looks okay. Good enough for government work. Alright, I'm going to cut that first leg off of each one since it's been soldered. Now I'm going to solder the middle one. And you can see him on and off real quick. That way you won't damage anything. Okay, should be cooled down sufficiently. I'll turn it around so I can get to this side easier. Bam, bam, bam. Okay, got one more to go. All right, I think that might be lined up. See what that looks like. Looks pretty straight. Okay, all the transistors are soldered in. Let's see what the next step is here. Step number 11, install the PIC 16F1519 and the MCP 23008 ICs into their respective sockets. PIC, that's a PIC, so I guess that's a programmable chip. I guess that's the one that's got all the brains of the operation right here. Yeah, this is the PIC. This is basically, I guess, the program. Alright, it's got a notch right here. Notch is in this end right here. Alright, the legs look like they're good and straight. So let's go ahead and put it in. Okay. Now for the other one. This one's got a notch right on this end. Looks straight. Notch is on the same end. Okay. That's looking good. Now, let's see. Right here it says, this completes the assembly of the SRAM Blade. Now you can insert the blade into the Inquisitor core module and test the blade to make sure everything is working as intended. Please refer to user manual for instructions on inserting the blade and testing SRAM. Okay. And the last page just gives you some troubleshooting tips, but we're not going to worry about that because what can go wrong, right? Yeah, famous last words. Okay, I'll be right back because now that I got the blade finished, I'm going to have to go back in time and finish the Inquisitor core so that we can, you need the blade in order to test the core. So we're going to do the test, and then if it passes the test, then we can put the zip socket on this, and then we'll be ready to come back to this video, and we'll be able to try this out with some SRAM and test some SRAM. Okay, well, I've time traveled back in the past, and now I'm back. We have the Inquisitor SRAM Blade complete. And now we have the Inquisitor core unit complete. So now, since the core unit is complete, now we can pop in the blade, and if you watch the previous video, video number 1, where we completed the core, we had to have the blade in order to test the core. So we've already tested it, and I'm very happy with the results. But now we're going to do some more testing, and I'm going to pop the blade in and turn it on, and it passed a self-test. And like in the last video, I had one 2114 which I knew was bad, which came out of my Star Trek CPU board. And I'll put a link to the video here where I found out that this chip was bad and replaced it. So I hung on to it in anticipation of getting one of these Inquisitors so that I would be able to know I got at least one bad chip. So we're going to test that, and here is my new chips. Not too many in there because I've been doing some swapping in boards, and here are the chips that a lot of these are new chips that I had, you know, put in other boards to test boards, and after I tested them and kind of got some of them mixed up and didn't know whether they were still good or bad, I just put them in a box. I said, well, one day I'll get an Inquisitor and I'll be able to test them. So today is the day. Okay, so first let's test the bad one here, which I know it's bad because I've already tested it, but let's go ahead and we'll hit the test button. And sure enough, get a red LED and it says bad. So that one is definitely bad. So I'm going to put the bad ones over here out the way. Now, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to test what's supposed to be my good ones, which is it's still in my bin, which is supposedly good. So we're going to test all of the what's supposed to be good. But sometimes when you buy new chips, sometimes, especially RAM, you might be getting RAM that is used and been pulled out of other equipment. And then sometimes you get new old stock, and it's a possibility it's a lot of counterfeits. So you never know when you're going to get some that might be counterfeit that don't work. So, okay, let's go ahead and test these. All right, that one checks out good. And I'm just going to go through these kind of quick. That one's good. That one's good. That one's good. Another good one. Good. All right, let's dump out the box of probably mostly good, but who knows, there may be some bad in here. And these are mixed up, they're all different brands. Good. If they check good, I'm going to put them in my new bin, or good bin. Also have to make sure they're 2114s because I don't want to put in something that got stuck in there. All right, that's good. I don't want to put a regular chip in. Making sure that they're 2114s and that the pins are straight. Good. 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 I'm happy all these are good, but I would like to find another bad one. Good. But maybe it's a good thing I don't. Good. Uh-huh. The screen went blank. Let's try this one again. Okay, that's good. I've noticed it did that a couple times when I initially tested it. I don't know why it does that, but I guess everything has its little quirks. Okay, that's good. It's good. Good. And this is the last one I got. They all check out good. The only one I got that's bad is the one right here that I took out that Star Trek board. Yep, and it tests bad. Okay, well, it seems to be working okay. Once in a while the screen goes blank, and I don't know why. Maybe you know, once in a while it does something and gets a little mixed up or whatever. A lot of test equipment is like that sometimes. I don't think it's nothing really to worry about. I do want to note that the power LED right here on the blade, off camera I swapped that around. When I first fired this up in the other video, the LED wasn't coming on. I checked with a voltmeter and I had 5 volts across the LED, but it wasn't lighting. So I got looking at the instructions. I was going to go back and look at the video, which I haven't done yet, but sure enough I put the diode in backwards. So I just went ahead and flipped it around real quick, just unsoldered it, flipped it around and put it back in. So when you just got to pay attention, closer attention, anybody can make a mistake, and that's the only mistake that I've made so far. So if that's the worst I've done, then I guess I've done okay. The main thing is you catch your mistake and you figure out what you did and you fix it. So, and that was a simple fix. So okay, well, this ends this video. So now I got the Inquisitor, the core unit, it's good to go, and I got the SRAM Blade all working. So now I'll be able to test any SRAM that this supports. So look forward to video number 3, which we'll be putting one of the other blades together. We got a DRAM blade and a PIA blade. So I don't know which one I'm going to do next. If you have a preference, let me know, and I'll do one or the other. So that's going to do it. Just another arcade fix. And we got another piece of test equipment in the arsenal to fix some boards. So hopefully here in the future we'll be able to put it to good use and fix some boards. So it's just been another arcade fix. Have you had your arcade fix today?